Good morning and welcome to MindAdda workshop. So, as Sudhanshu was saying, mobile application development is going to be the future. The world is becoming smaller and smaller. The technologies, the gadgets, whatever we have been using, those are getting smaller and smaller. And for all those smaller things, we have the platform, the base is kind of ready. There are two giants of the market. One is Android, the other one is iOS. And they both are dominating all these mobile devices, your smartphones, your tablets, your wearables, your all those different kind of things that we find. And once you start to get inside the tech world, you will know how easy it is. It has become in these new times to develop applications. To develop the applications once, and they can cater to all these different devices at the same time. So that's what we'll try to talk about today. Ki how we can target more and more platforms, more and more devices with less amount of code and with less variations of the code. Okay. So with that, that was a very generic explanation. I just wanted to add few things to whatever Sudhanshu told. Now, focusing back to the workshop, the idea behind this workshop is to give a short intro about Flutter, the emerging technology that the world is adopting to develop what is that mobile applications. We will also see about, we'll start with the point zero. So we'll start with the basics, how native or in general Android app development looks like, how the Android architecture looks like. Then we'll go inside what are the technologies, what are the frameworks available to develop applications for the Android Android OS or the iOS iOS platform. Then from there, we'll look into basics of Flutter, basics of the programming language that is associated with Flutter. Then we will kickstart with our application, one small or a small portion of our e-commerce applications. Right? If that is correct, so we can start. Now, the thing is, I don't have much, what is that? I don't have any PPT or anything because I don't believe in presentations. We'll be using two tools, Android Studio and MS Word. Our presentations, all these things will show block diagrams in Word, will directly code in Android Studio. Okay. Now, going there. Okay. So I don't want it. My screen, I hope my screen is visible. All right. So what? Okay. Before that, I hope all our environments are ready. We will have installed Android Studio and Flutter is set up. Is anyone there who doesn't have Android Studio on their system? Okay, good. I hope there is no one. So if there are, then please let me know. Okay, no, maybe before going that, I don't know whether Sudhanshu has given a short intro of me or not. If I am Sisir, and I work in Philips, and I am a co-founder of MindAdda. So we are working in MindAdda as we are a startup company. So where we do all different kind of product development related to mobile markets as well as relating to web. So we work with different technologies like Flutter, Ionic, React, and we work with deployments in AWS, Azure, and all. So today our focus is to demonstrate mobile applications. All right. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, anything you want to know, anything you want to add, you can always interrupt me. All right. Now, so can anyone tell me when did Android come into the market? Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. So Android came somewhere near 2005. So prior to that, all these the smartphones have been there ever since, I guess, somewhere near 1995. But that time, the all those, all those smartphones were being developed on separate platforms from separate vendors. What I mean, like, there used to be a big mobile giant, right? Nokia. So Nokia used to use one OS called Symbian. So all those applications they were providing, like a app for email, app to browse the web. So for all those things, they had developed on their own and targeting for Nokia phones on a Symbian OS. Now then, the market started to started to expand. There are other vendors, they came in, they came up with their own applications, own mobiles, own OS. So that became that created, so that created, smaller bubbles in the market. If you are a Nokia mobile, if you have a Nokia mobile, your all those things will be inside Nokia only. After 3 years, if you are going from one mobile to another mobile, you do not have a choice to take your data from from one mobile to the other, because all your data, all your applications are restricted to Nokia only. If you go to another vendor like MI or Samsung, then you'll have to start everything again. So that was a user problem. There was another problem related to the developers also, the people who were developing the apps. So they were, let's say there is an email application. Someone is working to develop a email application to, for a Nokia based mobile phone. Think, think from the era of before 2000, when the technologies were not that great. So that time to develop a email based application or a application to browse and write emails, that used to take like months. And imagine you have to do that again freshly for another another platform like Samsung comes up with its own. Then Samsung will have to do all these things again from their beginning. So that created a lot of problems. That's where a small startup started to took a startup took this opportunity, and they saw, okay, this can be solved by providing, by detaching the OS from the device, from the hardware. You're getting it right. Now if you think from your you think your laptops, your laptop has Dell or HP or or maybe Lenovo. Imagine Dell would be giving its own OS, HP would be giving its own OS. Then how difficult lives would be. You won't be able to use MS Office on all of them, right? You won't be able to use this MS Word or PPT. We are able to use this because the in our times the hardware and the OS are detached. Irrespective of your laptop model or laptop vendor, you can always use Windows, right? The same concept these guys took and applied to mobile phones. They came up with one new operating system called Android. And that operating system, they told ki we are just a software guy. We have our we have just an operating system that can operate on any of these. They gave a variety of mobile phones. They gave ki any of these hardware models you can use this OS. Then that was a startup. So it took some time for the market to adapt to it. Then I think in 2005 Google bought Android, and in 2005 or 6 they launched, they remarketed, they revamped it, and they launched Android as a public to as a public product to everyone. The good thing they did was ki, they made Android as an open source. What does that mean? What it means is ki, a part of Android other vendors can take and can customize. If you know about MI would be, MI has one operating system called MIUI. If you see it, it gets updated, it gets, every time MIUI 8, 9, 10. So what they do is they keep the Android core parts intact. On top of that, the UI layer, that they change for to to cater to MIOS. But that is just the UI. From the application, the apps you use, whatever you use on Samsung, you still can use on a MIUI OS or a phone, because at the core it is Android. Is that part understood, guys? What I told, I'll show it. Let's say this is MI phone, this is Samsung, and this is Asus. So all these three are three different mobile devices, three different hardwares altogether from different vendors. Here the the RAM may be like, let's say 4 GB or 8 GB for that matter. Here the cameras, maybe there are four cameras. Here it has different sensors, to sense your temperature, to sense your fingerprints. So there are all different hardware level technologies available. Yet they all can be solved from one operating system, that is Android. So when we are developing applications, we need not worry about MI or Samsung or Asus. We need not worry on what hardware it will run. What we need to worry about is is it Android or not. As long as this is Android, whether it's a mobile phone or a tablet, we don't need to worry about it, right? What is the size of the phone? What is the the what is that the hardware configuration of the phone? We don't need to worry. We just need to target Android. So what will happen? We will do, okay, so we will be developing applications at this layer. Let's say this is a calculator, you know this is WhatsApp, or this is another application like from MindAdda, which is a LMS application, like that. This is messenger, so like it, you can simply take one application, you can run it from MI in Samsung, in Asus and all. So Android has solved all these hardware problems to a great extent. Is this part understandable, guys? All right. So with Android, we saw it is solving, it is, it solved a huge problem of making our applications independent of the devices or independent of the vendors. However, there is still one more problem in this architecture. The problem is not all the devices will support Android. For that matter, if you know, iPhone runs on a different OS. There are a few of the Windows phones, they run on a different OS. Now, those cases, the hardware is a bit different. More on to that, the OS is really different. So if I have developed one application to target to Android, now I want to run this calculator app on an iPhone because there is no Android in that. And this was entirely developed keeping Android in mind, right? So that's where, so now this is a problem, right? Again we'll have to restart the entire calculator program or the WhatsApp program for a different OS. For iOS we'll have to do again, for Windows we'll have to again. Now there are few phones coming in raw Linux, so for that we'll have to start it again, right? So now this became another problem in 2010. So somewhere near in 2010, 2012, people started to recognize this as a problem. Ki my application, like for that matter, a application like calculator, it doesn't have anything that will depend, on the hardware. You give two numbers, it will show you. You give a scientific equation, it will solve it. For that matter, for that application to run, it doesn't need any hardware support. So, but irrespective of the my application's configuration, my application's internal design, I am forced to rewrite is because my underlying operating system is changing, right? So that's where the concept of hybrid applications came in. Hybrid applications, prior to that whatever we had was native applications, native apps. Then this is hybrid apps. Is this part understandable, guys? Anywhere any questions, you can always stop me. Okay, now this much whatever we see, this is native apps. All these are developed for the Android platform, native Android. It cannot be used on a separate one. Hybrid is something where we can develop the app such a way that it can be targeted. It can run on different platforms. It can the same application will run on Android as well as on iOS. How do we do that? So basically, if you know how it will work, so if I copy paste, okay, I cannot. So let's say I have my calculator program. Okay, then I want to run this on a Android device as well as on iOS as well as on Windows. Now they themselves, of course, are running on a bunch of hardwares, right? Each of these OS are running on a bunch of hardwares. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm trying to say over here. Okay, so now, okay, so this is our calculator app. Now you know calculator app that is completely our app. This is an Android platform. This is Android. Okay, this is iOS. This is Windows. Now this is one vendor like MI that runs on Android. This is Samsung that also runs on Android. Then this is maybe Asus that also runs on Android. So this is maybe, let's say iOS doesn't have many vendors because iOS have, it's not a public thing. It's not open source. iOS is from Apple. So let's say this runs only on iPhone. This is iPhone 8. This is iPhone X, and okay, similar things. Windows also like that. So there was one Nokia Lumia, right? That came with what is that? Windows Phone. Then there was, I guess, one more. Let's say there is one application, some Microsoft. There was one Microsoft phone also. Microsoft phone. Okay. Now these two are Windows based. These two are iOS based. We have only one application that we want to run on all these platforms. So what we'll have to do, if we have to do it in the traditional way, first we'll have to develop our application for Android, using Android Studio and Java or a language like Kotlin. The same thing, same logic we'll have to re-implement for iOS, using what is that, Xcode, and using a language like Swift or Objective-C. Then the same when it comes to Windows, then we'll have to again develop the same using Visual Studio and language like either a framework like .NET and language like C Sharp, or by using that Windows Universal Windows platform, UWP apps. Now the logic is same, but we'll have to rewrite it for all these people in different platforms, different IDs, different frameworks, different languages, but the logic remains the same. So it's a problem, right? That's where we need one more layer over here. Okay, so what we will do is or not, we will have done it. That's what we will be seeing today. So what we want one more layer in between these people. We will not target. So how these guys solve the problem? They they included, they put an umbrella above all these hardwares, above all these variations. So the apps will be targeting this umbrella, not the underlying one. So that the target is just one. Similar thing. Now the platforms are different. So what we do? We need one more umbrella on top of it. So what is that? That is a hybrid app. What is that? Hybrid app framework. Okay. We'll see what is this hybrid app framework and what are the categories, what are the things available. One of the example is Flutter. Another is React Native. Another is Ionic. Okay. So these are different technologies or different frameworks available in which we can we can develop this hybrid app framework concept. Now let's give it a different color. Color. Okay, yeah, much better. Okay. Now, when it comes to the calculator application, we don't need to target it to Android. We don't need to target it to iOS. We need to target to this particular framework or this particular technology. And then this framework's job, its internal job is to take our input, take our application and translate it to a language what Android understands. Take our source code and, include all the Android related SDKs into it and create an Android APK out of it. Then that APK will run in the Android platform. If for that matter, if it wants to run into iOS, take our source code, compile into a language, into a binary that iOS will understand, bundle it, and that will run on the iOS. Same applies to Windows as well. Getting? See, first we wanted to create calculator application for, let's say there are 5 vendors, so or 10 vendors, 10 mobile application developers, sorry, 10 mobile developers. So we'll have to write calculator 10 times. Then we introduced operating systems in between, so we had to write our application for 3 platforms, for 3 different operating systems. Now we want to write our application only once and it will run in all these operating systems. Is this part understandable? If it is, then we'll go to the next level. Guys, questions? No issues. You can always ask questions, and let's keep the session, more interactive rather than, all India radio. Okay. All right. So now today's our focus will be on this part, and that's what we will be demonstrating, how we can write one application like this that will target this and that will run on different so many platforms and so many mobile phones. Okay. Now somehow I'm not able to get out here. Fair enough. So when it comes to this Android apps, what are the technologies that is available with us right now? So technology. Then there is what is this? There is the framework. Then there is language. Okay. So all these technologies. Okay. All these technologies, whatever we will be writing. Okay. Maybe let me write it. Flutter. Then there is React Native. Then there is Ionic. Then there is Xamarin. So all these technologies, whenever we are developing an app or using any of these, in that case, the app can run on all the 3 platforms. Okay, so all these 4 are hybrid app technologies or hybrid app frameworks. So only there are some pros and cons to all of them, and depending on our need, we need to decide which one we would be going. Okay, we'll see what is the deciding factors that will give us the the call which one should we pick. First one is Flutter. Flutter itself is the framework. It uses one programming language called Dart. If you know, Dart is something similar to JavaScript. It was created, both Flutter and Dart are from the same vendor that develops Android, that is from Google. So Google only created Android, and Google only created Flutter and Dart. So when it comes, when it comes from the same vendor, they provide bit more flexibility in terms of, different tools, like to develop, to there are some profiling tools, some debugging tools, which are all available right from the Android Studio, because the Android Studio itself is from Google, right? So when all these things come from the same company, they put a lot of things that will work, seamlessly with each other. Of course, for others, other applications, other IDs also, there are tools, there are extensions available, but that we need to find manually, and we'll have to install, we need to add. So we'll see what is Flutter and what is Dart in detail. Okay, don't worry about that. React Native uses the web framework React. You know about, right? You would be knowing about React, Angular, and Vue. These are the three, prominent web technologies these days that we use to develop web front ends, right? So this is the same React library that we will be using in React Native. So React works with JavaScript, right? JavaScript or TypeScript, depending on our need. Now Ionic normally works with Ionic is a it's not a what is that? It's not a native. It's not a hybrid app as is. Ionic is something called a web app or a progressive web app. Okay. So basically, when we write applications in Ionic, those are not native applications. Those won't be running on the native OS. Those would be running inside a web view, if you know what I mean. So Ionic is majorly for the people who are good with web development, who are familiar with, frameworks like Angular or React or, Vue. Ionic can be written in any of these frameworks. If you know Angular, you can right away work in Ionic. All the code, all the UI backend, everything you will be writing in Angular. And all these people work with JavaScript and TypeScript. If you are going with Angular, then it is TypeScript. Others also support both TypeScript and JavaScript. All right. Then comes Xamarin. Xamarin is a technology. Okay, maybe I'll add one more column also. How do I add a column? Okay, insert right. All right. Vendor. Okay. So Flutter is from Google. React Native is from Facebook. Ionic is from a company named Ionic only. Xamarin. When it comes to Xamarin, Xamarin uses .NET framework. If you know about .NET, that is the C VB and all those. So .NET is the framework that is Microsoft brands and Microsoft uses in all its products. Visual Studio itself is written in .NET in C So .NET is majorly a what is that, a desktop application development framework. Then .NET has ASP.NET, which is a web development framework. So now Xamarin is another technology from the .NET framework, which allows to develop mobile applications. And here the language we'll be using is C#. Another language from the .NET framework from Microsoft, which is mostly similar to Java. Vendor Microsoft. All right. Is this part understandable, guys? Guys, pick up. Otherwise, the it will become monologue. I don't want it to be monologue. Anyone? Anything? No. All right. No, yes, yes. So we are getting it right. What I'm how we are going. So we started with from the early 90s where we had all these different only mobile phones. Then we came to 2005 when there was Android. Then there was 2008 when the first iPhone came. That with that came the iOS. Then there was 2010, 2012 where the hybrid app development concept came in. Then from the Android hybrid app development, we are seeing now the different technologies or different types of hybrid app development we can have. Okay. So if this is understandable, then this is your what is that? This is your basic introduction to how the mobile app development world works. Okay. Now to show you a little more how this hybrid apps work, let me Google and show you something. Android architecture. Okay. So if you see this, is it better? No. Oh, come on. Okay, much better. Okay. So in general, one Android, for that matter, your Android phone or your Android application is architected in these many layers. Okay, the Android operating system has these many layers. The topmost is the application layer. The UI, what you see, the applications we develop, all those things lie at this layer. So that's why most of our applications will go into this, and most of your already available applications like home, gallery, clock, calendar, Gmail, or for that matter, Google search, all those things will come into this. Then there is the application framework. This layer is from this layer onwards is the Android's own what is that own property. So the application layer is just one layer below the UI layer. What you see is the application layer. When you press a button or to show the button on the UI, whatever Android has to do, that lies in this layer. There are something called activity managers, notification managers, there are Windows managers. So there are all these UI related stuff are over here in the application framework. Then there is this layer. This is kind of a bridge between the actual operating system and the application layer. These two are the application layer. The last one is the OS. It's a Linux kernel. You know about the kernels, right? So one OS has majorly two parts, a shell and a kernel. A kernel is the one that is the core of the operating system that deals with the hardware. If you have a Wi-Fi, there is a Wi-Fi driver for it, because without the driver your Wi-Fi will not work. If you have a USB, there is a driver for it. Without the USB, without the USB driver, your USB will not work. Anyone is drawing anything? Anyway, so your camera, all your hardwares are there, right? So every hardware unit will have a driver for it, and those drivers are available as combiningly make the OS. And to manage all these drivers, manage all these hardwares, that's where your Linux kernel will be. So this part is purely the OS. Okay, Pulkit, you want to say anything? Okay, all right. Uh, so this is the OS part. This is purely the application part. How we will show what are the apps we show, what we want to do in the like calculator. You want to give a keyboard, people will be pressing it. You will be displaying a notification. You will be changing the color. All these things will lie over here. This part is the adapter layer. This part, Pulkit, maybe if you wanna say anything, you can unmute and say. Okay, Pulkit. I don't know. Somehow I see a line on my screen and it tells Pulkit. Anyway, if you have any questions or anything, you can always ask. Okay. Okay. So there is a chart. Sorry, by mistake. No issues. No issues. Okay. Now So this layer, the third one, is a bridge between these two. The top one is written in a language like Java. For Android, it is in Java or a language like Kotlin. Both Java and Kotlin, right? Java works with a virtual machine called JVM, right? Java application don't run on the operating system directly, unlike a program in C or C++, right? Java runs on a platform called JVM. Then JVM is the one that takes the Java bytecodes and converts to the underlying platform. For that matter, it is Linux, then it will convert to Linux. If it is Windows, then it will convert it to Windows. So for if there is a application that is written in Java on the platform where it wants to run, there must be a JVM installed. Now we are saying our applications are written in Java, all the Android apps will be written in Java. Then the Android mobile phone, the Android OS needs to have a JVM in it. Otherwise will not be able to run our applications, right? So we don't install that JVM, right? That means the JVM comes pre-installed as part of the operating system. In Android, we don't call that JVM, we call that a DVM, or something called a Dalvix virtual machine. Dalvik is just a guy who created the VM, who fine-tuned the JVM to run on mobile devices. That's why this is named as Dalvix virtual machine, DVM. Okay, then there are some core libraries that are used at the runtime. Then if you have any what is that pre-experience with Android, you would know about SQLite. Then there are some graphics related. SSL is about secure communication. OpenGL is about rendering graphics heavy games and all. So these are all different. These are again still these are libraries only. These are different libraries for different purposes, but these are part of the OS. When it comes to this is more towards the hardware. This is the hardware parts, the display driver, your touch screen, the audio drivers, your speakers, all these things. Is this part understandable? All right. So this is what a typical Android OS architecture looks like. When you go to iOS, there also it will be mostly similar, because there will be there will be some hardwares. So for sure there will have to be respective hardware drivers that will comprise the OS. Then there will be UI. So of course there will be UI layers, to manage the UI, to handle the notification, to handle the change in the UI. All those things will have to be there. Then there will of course be a bridge layer that will translate things from here to here, right? Now this is where applications like, or sorry, this is where the frameworks like Ionic or Flutter shines. What they say is ki, irrespective of whether you have a iOS phone or Android phone, you have a display, you have a Bluetooth, you have a a sensor. Then why do you want to write it in two different frameworks, two different languages? Why can't you write in the, because to show the UI, it will always be a button. If you want to give a you want to connect to a network, let's say an app like YouTube, let's say app like YouTube. So when you start it, when you push a button, it will connect to YouTube, download the video and show it over here. All right. So for that matter, whether it is Android or iOS, it will do the same thing, right? Now for that matter, why do you want to write it twice, right? That's where we have this Flutter where it tells key, you write the the network connecting code or the button showing code in a generic way, and we will translate it to a Android specific part or iOS specific part, depending on which target you are choosing. All right. So you getting it, right? The background behind how this Flutter or this React Native, all these what that hybrid app technologies are coming in. Okay, guys, questions? All right. If not, then so this is, I know this has been a lot of theory for now, but I wanted to give you a background before writing any line of code. Okay. If this part we can understand, then let's write, directly go into Android Studio and create one Flutter application. Are we ready? Or you want to take a 5 minutes break and then we want to come back and continue? I'm okay with anything. Sudhanshu?
I think they will just give them a break of 5 minutes. So I
Sure.
am sharing across one questionnaire sections. So guys,
Yes.
please go ahead with that questionnaire. Only 10 questions are there.
Okay.
Then Shishir will discuss. We will get you the results later. But
Sure.
we will go through that questions and we will directly head towards Flutter.
Awesome. So it's 11:40 right now. Let's meet at 11:50, right? So take 5 minutes break, then take 5 minutes to answer that questionnaire. Exact sharp at 11:50, we'll meet back. Okay, we'll not close the session. I'm still there, but I'll just stop sharing and maybe what is that? I'll go on to mute.
If they have any
Anyone?
questions, they can post so that we will try to get it
What is
answered.
the need of Kotlin or Java for Android if we can create apps for both iOS? Okay, Pulkit, that's a great thing, Pulkit. So we told ki there is now Flutter. So there is this nice thing where you write once and you can use it across all these things. Then why people like Android and Kotlin and Java still alive? Okay, so first thing is ki Flutter is very new and Java Kotlin based Android applications are pretty old. So like till 2015 or so, there we did not have this hybrid app concept publicly available to all. Okay, so till that time we had to write specific applications in Java or Kotlin only. But post that we started using this. Okay, this Flutter and all came in. Now it has two parts why they both still coexist. One is Flutter, and for that matter, this React Native or something. These are majorly UI based frameworks. You know, if you have more UIs, your application relies a lot of pages. But for that matter, take a e-card based application. You have like 5 6 pages to show. There is a product, there is a home page where you will show a lot of the products. Then you have category based pages where you show products based on one particular category. Then there is a user profile, then there is your checkout page, there is your payment page, all these UI based pages. So that time when your application is UI heavy, you go with this Flutter or React Native or any of this hybrid app development. But your app, let's say that is your app is not very UI heavy but more computation heavy, like your app relies on Bluetooth, or your app does things with a lot of computation, lot of things like what do you say, what is the other one, GPS. So that time you will not get much advantage by running or by developing your app in Flutter. That time you better use, because that time you have a more hardware related dependencies, and that time it's better if you write in the native language, Android app in of Java and Kotlin, iOS app in this guy. Okay, means for backend Java and Kotlin will be more helpful. Exactly, not backend exactly. This is all, your app would still be, your app is entirely front end only. Your backend is that runs on the server. Okay, but in the app perspective, if you say, if your app is less UI and more computation code, then better go with Java and Kotlin. Okay, now there is one more point also we need to understand it. Think it from you are an established organization. Okay, you have been developing apps for quite some time, for let's say 3 years or 5 years, and you are well established. You have lot of code, lot of code and lot of documents already developed in Kotlin and Java. Now just because there is a new framework, new technology in the market, you may not want to convert everything to the new one, right? That will cost you a lot of time and a lot of money. But what is the point to have it, right? Which is the best ID for Flutter, VS Code, or Android Studio? Android Studio. If you are developing Flutter, then always use Android Studio unless you have specific reasons to not use it. VS Code is very lightweight and very what is that, although easy to use, but not that easy to use like Android Studio. In Android Studio, a lot of the things you will find out of the box. For that matter, like just to run the application, You don't need to write a command, you can get it as is. Intelligence, you don't need to add one extra extension, you can get as is. Getting right? So if you have a choice, always go with Android Studio. Yes. Any more questions? All right, no problem. If you have questions, post it over here, or you can still ask them. Okay. All right. So it's 11:45. Then let's 10 minutes break. You, I'll stop sharing. Yeah, take 5 minutes break and then answer the questionnaire. We'll be back by 10. Sorry, 11:55. Okay. Can I give intro, sir? Can I give intro? Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. No issues. You can write whatever you want. No issues. Right. Or Pulkit, if you don't mind, maybe can we do that after 11:55? If you are taking a break, let's take it properly. Then after that, maybe we can have a 5 minutes. We don't have many people. We can have a intro session as well. 5-10 minutes intro to everyone, and then we'll start with the coding. All right? Okay, guys. Chalo, meet you at 11:55. All right. If everything, everyone is
Yeah, Shishir,
clear.
before you proceed, I shared one quiz, so you can go through that, just 10 questions. And
Okay.
I think people have already responded. So you
Okay.
just go through that and give that what is the correct answer or the appropriate answer. Later we will
Awesome.
verify. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. Okay. Everyone able to see my screen? I guess so. Okay. Which is
Yes.
not. Yeah. Anyone? Anyone saying anything? All right. No issue. Okay. So which is not a framework out of it? Okay.
Dart
That awesome. Yes. That is not a framework. What is that?
language.
Yes, it's a programming language, right? So it's a language that is being used inside Flutter framework. Okay, great. You can run any mobile app both on Android and iOS. Yes, no,
No,
maybe
no,
no. Great. Why? Why no? We spoke like Flutter applications can run on both. Then why no?
maybe third
No.
one. Maybe
Because not every application would be developed in Flutter, right? There will be a lot of applications which are natively developed. Any application that is developed natively for Android will run on Android only, or any application that is developed only for iOS that will run only on iOS, right? So not every application will run on what is that, both Android and iOS. That is a call we have to take. That is a design choice. Okay, if we have designed like that, it will run. Flutter is from which vendor? Microsoft, Apple, Google, Android,
Google.
Google, right? It's from Google. So the reason to remember is this is key. I mean, or the advantage of remembering this is key. We'll have seamless. So when we have multiple things working together, right? There will be some friction if they are not from the same vendor, or they are not designed to work with one another, right? Like for that matter, if you want to install Visual Studio on a Mac OS and run it, it will not be that smoother like running Visual Studio on a Windows system, right? Even though they have established, they have developed it like that, but it's always good that if the performance of Visual Studio plus Windows will be in some percentage better than Visual Studio plus Mac, right? Same applies to Flutter as well. So Flutter plus Android will be better than Flutter, Android plus something else like React or Ionic, or Flutter plus sorry, I didn't mean Android. Flutter plus Android Studio will be better than Flutter plus what is that, this thing, Visual Studio, Visual Code. Okay, then when content provider would be activated?
Using content resolver.
Using content data. Great. Okay. And so the rest are, if you know, those are Android native development technologies. There is something called intent. There is that works with, there is something called activity. Then there is SQLite and all those things. Other install, sorry, once installed on a device, each Android application lives in device
Security
memory.
sandbox.
Security sandbox. Would you tell a little more about security sandbox, what it is and all?
Mm,
Do you know what is a security sandbox and what it is? Do you know what is a sandbox? Anyone knows what's a sandbox? Okay. A sandbox is, in general, it's a software jargon. Okay, it's a term related to software development. This doesn't this not only applies to Android app development, or for that matter app development. It applies to all kind of software development. A sandbox is, as the name tells, it's a box. Okay, and all your things, your environment is that box. Like for that matter, Java applications, JVM creates a sandbox, creates a instance of the JVM. Inside that much only your entire application would be running. Your all your memory, all your instances, everything will be created inside that memory. Your application is restricted inside that. But the benefit of having that is, if you have multiple things, it by default allows no one will interfere into the other's virtual machine or the other box. right? So that's why it's a sandbox. A security sandbox is something similar in that line. It's more secured in terms of, oh, one app will not interfere into another, like that and like forth. Okay. Which of the important device characteristics that you should consider as you design
All
and
of the
develop your
above.
application? Screen size and density, input
All the
configuration,
above.
chip device, right? All the above. True. So layouts in Android, frame layout, linear layout, relative layout. Anyone?
All the above.
All the above. Right. So then when developing for the Android OS, Java bytecode is compiled into
Davic bytecode.
bytecode or application code?
Bytecode.
Yes, because the application doesn't directly compile to the OS for that matter, right? It will compile to a bytecode, and in our case, that will be a Dalvik bytecode. Oh, what built-in database in Android shipped? What is that? MySQL? No, right? It's SQLite. It's SQLite.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the driving force behind an Android application, and that ultimately
Java
gets
source code.
converted, right? It's a Java
Java
source.
source code.
Java source
Convert into a JavaFX. Okay, so there's a Java source code, there's the R file, there's the emulator, the SDK. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
what is contained within the manifest XML? What is the manifest XML has?
permissions.
Okay, list of strings used in the app. Will that not be there in the manifest?
No, sir.
No, right? It will not be there. The Android manifest, it's kind of a, it's a contract. Okay, it's a contract between the Android operating system and your application. So your application will be downloaded from the external to someone's device, right? So Android needs to verify your application. So your application needs to tell Android, the operating system, ki boss, look, I will need this permissions, I have this many screens, I have this thing, I have that thing. And the Android operating system will remember that. If you try to do anything other than that, the Android OS will simply kill your application. It will not let you. Let's say you haven't declared internet permission and you do a network call. Android OS will say, "Ki, boss, you did not define it while you have installed. While we are installing, you didn't tell ki I will need internet permission, so I'll not allow it." Right? So that as a developer, we need to foresee what are the permissions we need, what are how many screens we'll have. All those things we'll have to foresee and add them to the manifest file. The manifest file will go as is to the Android operating system. Before running your application, it will check. All right.
Yes.
Okay, I think you guys did good in this. Okay, this is the answer. All got right. Flutter
So
HTML.
last one is the permissions. The
Yep, yep.
okay.
So the permission of the app. Okay. The source code, of course, will not be inside the manifest file, right? Neither will the strings. The strings will be inside the values.
Okay.
Okay. So for that matter, someone is saying anything? Someone is saying anything? Okay.
No, Chichari, go
I
ahead.
got it. Somehow I'm not getting the chat window. This is the participant. Oh, sorry, it was here. Okay. Okay. All right. So I hope all of you have Android Studio installed on your system. Do we? And Flutter is set up on all your systems. If so, uh, could you please run this command, Flutter doctor? Okay. I recommend you all run this on your system and see what happens. So see, for me, it is saying everything is tick. For you, the last line, if it says not tick yellow, then also it's okay. But the rest of the four needs to be. So the first couple of things, the second one is also not necessary for our application development, but for the rest it needs to be. Okay. And the second but last is required for for to run your application on an emulator or on the device. Then the when we are running like that, there is one particular feature called hot reload. We'll talk about that. So for that, this proxy configuration is needed. Can everyone confirm whether it's running, or anyone having any issue over there? Flutter Doctor, guys, questions, issues? No, nothing. Okay, all right. So if that is the case, then what we'll do is, okay, okay, all right. So what we'll do is we come to, okay, I'll close my Android Studio as well. We start Android Studio. Everyone, please start your Android Studio. And okay, okay, so for the people who are new to Android Studio, there are a bit of, it's not only for Android Studio, it's for any IDE. A few terminologies are there. I'll just explain them so that we all, when we are communicating, will be on the same page. The top one is something called a menu bar. Okay, file menu, edit menu, view, navigate, you know. Then these are, so all these file, edit, view, these are menus. Then all these whatever are there, they are menu items or sub menus. Then these are the, what is that, different actions which are related to all these things. Okay, then the second line, the second row is something called a toolbar. The second row is something called a toolbar. So where you have different tools, you know, where here this is something called a devices. All the connected devices, it will show over here. This, how many over that runnable applications are there, this will show over here. Then there is this is to run, this is to debug, then this is for performance, we don't need to worry. This is to attach to a application which is already running, just by debugging. Yes, this is my folder. You can connect with me here. Yeah. Thanks, Pulkit. So this is all related Git repository and all. This is for run anything, libit. This is for SDK manager. This is something we are interested in. Your virtual devices. So for this session, we will create one Android emulator. On the emulator, we will, you know, we will run all our applications. I'll be running all our applications on the emulator. If you want, you can directly run them on your device. If you have already set it up, your device in, you know, debugging mode, then you can run our applications, your applications directly on your device. Okay, so I'll be running one on our emulator or a virtual device. Let me create one virtual device. So I got it from the toolbar. What is that, third last icon, AVD manager, Android virtual devices. Okay, you come over here, you say create virtual devices. Okay, just whatever it is, you don't need to worry about, just say next, next, next. Okay, here you must have something already downloaded. Then if not, it will ask you to download one. Okay, if here the next icon is disabled, you need to for the top one you say download. Okay, it will take some time, but I guess you all have already done it. Okay, if not, let me know. Okay, so here you say next, then here you give a name, any name. Okay, so this is like this name doesn't have to be any existing name or anything. This is for our what is that, our remembering. When you have multiple devices, which device you want to run. So in my case, let's say I'll give it like, what is that, mobile portrait, and then this is maybe, what is that, pixel 2, so 5-inch screen. Okay, 5-inch screen, I'll give it a name like this. Okay, then you just say finish, so it creates one. Okay, guys, if you have any issues, let me know. So I have one already existing one, now I have created one, so I'll start the already existing one. You can start the newly created one as well. The moment you click it, then on the status bar, you know, the last one, it tells the status of every action that is running. All right, so see, it's starting the emulator. So the emulator came, this is the emulator, right? Now, okay, the emulator is up. we will go to say new. So if you have already Flutter downloaded and installed, we will just create a new Flutter project. Okay, sorry, I forgot. Maybe I'm really sorry. We wanted to have a what is that? A little bit of introduction to each other, and then we will know who and all are here, like with what background. Based on that, we can fine tune our next descriptions to that. If all of us are beginners, we will keep the conversation like that. If we have some programming experience, we'll keep it like that. If we have some mobile app development, we'll take to the advance. Okay, so let me, I see how many people. I see there are 15 people. Can we go one by one and introduce ourselves? Just two lines, maybe the name and what is the experience level, either college student or working or freelancer or any technology or programming language familiar with. Guys, can we? Yeah, Mona Lisa, you want to start? I
Yes, so
see you have.
myself, Mona Lisa So.
Okay.
I'm completed my BTech in EC branch, and after that I'm completing a PHP based course. Uh,
Okay.
Now I want to learn some about the mobile applications.
Cool. Do you have any UI development experience, like any web front end? Okay, for PHP, while working with PHP, do you develop front end applications as well? Like in JavaScript, HTML, do you write?
Yes, sir. Actually, classroom teaching, I have done some projects, mini template design, and not go for any
Okay,
practicals or any good project.
oh, fair enough. No issues. No issues.
Shishir,
As long as we have some background, that's good. Yes, Ranshu, please go
I
ahead.
have one suggestion. So just check it if it will be work out. So couple of folks I know professionally. So and I know them, so that I can told them. Others can introduce, so that it will be great that you will have a fair understanding. Those folks whom
Fair enough.
I know, they have already a background of mobile app and they know something. Okay.
Okay, awesome, awesome.
So
Yep.
let me, because it will save our time and it will be right. You can start directly
Sure,
from this.
sure,
So
sure.
I will say, Arnab, you can come out and introduce.
Okay, Lafir, I see your chart, and I think it's great. Okay, it's great that you are looking for a career. So it's let's see on that.
Hello, sir. I am Arnav Rao from Bhubaneswar, and I completed my MSc, and I am just new to Android and application development.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
yeah.
Lafir is also told he is the beginner.
Thanks, Arnav.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I am a beginner.
Thanks, Arnav. Thanks, Lafir. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Paresh.
Yeah, Paresh, you can speak it out
Is
also.
Paresh? Yeah, no issues. Yeah, you can always speak out. Having have Android development experience in native Java, worked with API calls and SQLite, have worked with Firebase. Awesome. Thanks for this. That's great. Okay, anyone else?
I think okay, two of them have just, I think, network issues. So other people's having a fair understanding on the mobile app, like kind of freshers. So you treat one two guys are having experience, okay, and they are ready to spend time because they want to understand some of the details also. Other than then, other
Okay.
people are kind of a fresher and also doing something. So you treat like that and start up your sessions.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Anshu. That gives me a good understanding how we will structure the next 1 hour of our session. Okay, so if that is the case, then what we can do is ki, anyway, our sessions are 2 days, right? Today and tomorrow, right? So will it be all right if we don't go to Firebase and e-commerce app today? We spend time with Flutter today, understand what it is, then tomorrow we will do the e-commerce app. Guys, will that be helpful? The reason I brought up this is ki if all of us are mostly freshers and doesn't have much experience with mobile app development, if I directly start with a production app, it will maybe a bit difficult for you to grasp the knowledge and the technology. So if I directly go over there, it will just be a demonstration, but for you it may not be that much of helpful. Rather, what we can do is ki, what are the small concepts that we'll use tomorrow, that we'll cover today. Okay, what is Flutter, what are the different widgets we'll be using, what is there inside it. We'll do some one or two three small applications that we'll use, that we will use tomorrow. Guys, will that be helpful, or that would be disappointing? Guys, anyone? Okay. Is testing included in this workshop? Testing, it's not unit testing, but by real-time database in Firebase. Yeah, but that's very good, Pulkit. So, but for our thing, we will see what are the differences between what is the real-time database and Firestore, and for that matter, when we will use your actual backend. Okay, instead of using the services from Firebase as NoSQL, when it will be helpful when we'll use our own backend. Okay, so that also we'll see. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Arnav and Palkit. Okay, and Paresh, we will not be including unit testing in here. We will keep it to the development only. Unit testing will be way too much for today's session, right? Cloud functions, that also will not be having. It will be fairly simple. So to the project that we'll be doing, we will create a database in in Firestore, and we'll use Fire storage to store our images. We'll have the links in our Firestore documents, and that much that we will bring and show in our Flutter application as a e-cart. There in our Flutter application, we'll have we'll have a home page which will be a mix of a lot. Then there will be different categories, and different icons will be there. Once clicking on one category, it will show all the products of that category with a image and a bunch of a description and a price. Then there will be one add to cart button. Once you press the add to cart button, it will be added to the user's cart. Then there will be a checkout page. So once in the checkout page, we will just in our application, we will just say ki, I mean, what are the things he has selected, and we will do a checkout. We will not do any payment related thing or nothing. The data we will bring from Firestore Firebase, and we will display in the app. Is that all right? Okay, yeah, thanks, Paris. So again, the people who have already some experience with Android development, they know to develop a full-fledged application like eCart within 4 hours is not possible, right? So in general, there are a lot of steps needs to be taken care to develop that. So the purpose of this workshop is not to develop one, production ready eCart, or sorry, e-commerce application. The purpose of this workspace to give the basics, the small concepts that you can take home and use in developing an actual application. That will take time, but the concepts that you will learn over here, those can be repeated. Okay, so that you will be over a period of time, you will be able to repeat them to create the actual full-fledged application. All right. Okay, so given that, now let's start with the basics of Flutter. So I say over here new and new project. So if you have installed Flutter, along with new project, you should get new Flutter project. Okay, you send it a new Flutter project, Flutter application, say next. Okay, then you give a project name. By default it comes up with something, and you give a name. This is the path where you have downloaded that Flutter zip and extracted. Okay, so this is the path where if I go to here, I have kept it inside my C username. So this is the path where you have this Flutter and bin and deb and all those things, right? Bin is the place where you have all those Flutter batch file and a bunch of exes. Okay, so this we will not be changing. When you are running it for the first time, you may have to set it. This is the path where you have that Flutter. You just copy that path and give it over here. this this is a place where your application will be created. Okay, I always recommend you create a workspace on your system, inside D or something. I have all these different what is that different companies we work with. I have folders for each one. This is MindAdda. Inside MindAdda, for today's we have workspace, so I have created one folder for today's one. So I want to create inside it. Okay, so inside this workspace workshop for November, I have one. I'll create it. We'll call it first Flutter app. uh, Flutter first app. Okay, must be a valid dot package where that is a bit about the names and also I had two what is that this thing underscores, it was complaining. Remove it. We are done. Next, you leave it as is or you want to change the name. So it is taking io psych. I'll change it to com dot then mind adda. Okay, blah blah blah. Finish. Okay, my project is created. All right. So when it creates it, it will have this. Now, first let's go to the folder where it created. Okay. So this, the third row is something called the tab bar, where we'll have different files open in different tabs. Okay. So you right click and say show in Explorer. One of the options from the bottom, if you go, it will directly open the file in Explorer. So basically, wherever the project is created, it will take you to that place. Okay, a typical Flutter project will look like this. Okay, see, there are major few folders. We'll check what are the folders are there. There is something called a dot tools. This the Android Studio creates automatically. We don't need to worry about it. This is related to the Dart programming language, and this Android Studio would be dealing with. We don't need to worry about it. This is the .idea folder. Android Studio, if you know, is based on the open source tool Android, sorry, Idea J, so or IntelliSense J. So this is related to the Android Studio settings for this particular project. Again, this is for the IDE, this is for the programming language. We don't need to worry about this. This is to our application, how our application will behave in Android. If there is something specific we want to do for Android, but not for iOS, right? We don't want to, there are all lot of things we'll be doing generically. We'll do that will cater to all the platforms. So that we will write inside lib. So basically we'll write our code inside lib. So anything we put in lib, that will go to both Android as well as iOS. But if there is something that we want to write only for Android but not for anything else, or we want to write the implementation is different for each platform, then that one will write inside each folder. Is that part understandable? Let's say there is something GPS related, something we want to write, and the GPS callbacks, the GPS classes are different for Android and iOS. Okay, so in that case, we will write the GPS specific code inside Android, and the iOS specific code will write inside iOS. Okay, the generic code only will go inside lib. The problem when we write that code inside lib is that will go to both Android and iOS. Then maybe the code will not work in another, right? Is that part understandable? All right. So in simple terms, if you want to remember, Android is all the thing that we'll be writing specifically to Android. Yes, someone has a question. Somehow I don't get this chat window opened very quickly. Mhm. Alt H. Nonsense. Uh, ah, okay, okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, Sudhanshu. Wanna say something?
uh, Not CC. So I'm just making that because people will be hungry at around 2, so that
Okay.
1:45 we will around have a 10 minutes one of same kind of quiz questions. So then
No, we'll not go till 1:45.
Mhm.
So we'll keep the session till 1:30 only. Okay.
Super.
Maybe
So
from 1:30 to 40 or 10 minutes, we can have that quiz session or any
correct. And
questions.
any questions on that time? Great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So
Sure.
today we'll be we'll be focusing on the basics to understand, to get ourselves familiarized with Flutter. So that tomorrow we'll do the app development.
And you
Okay.
are
And maybe
sharing the
I'll
GitHub code to them, right?
exactly. The startup code where we'll be starting, that I'll share today only. All
Okay.
right.
Then they will make the all the things, and tomorrow once we are starting up, it will be directly we will launch towards that.
Exactly.
Super.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry to
All right.
disturb.
Yeah, no issues, no issues. Okay. So these are the three folders with where we are more interested. I don't know my chat window. Okay, I don't know whether it takes time or it doesn't open right away. Meeting
Guys, just
info.
a update is I am lots of people are asking me the recording. I it is on recording. I will share that once the 2 days workshop is completed.
Okay. Paresh, the duration will be 2.5 hours. 1:30 will close. Is that okay, Paresh? Yeah. Okay. So oh, when I click, the chat window somehow vanishes. Okay, I have a hard time finding that chat window. Fair enough. All right. So as we're discussing, all the Android specific code goes to Android, iOS specific code goes to iOS. If you want, once you start developing, you will know you can develop website front ends also in Flutter. So basically you can write once, and along with Android and iOS you can target to your webs also, web front end also, website developing pages also. So those specific code will go over here. Okay, whatever you develop in HTML, CSS and JavaScript, you can develop them using your Flutter framework also. So if you, in generally we don't do, because the mobile and these are two different resolutions, different things. But again, if you want, there are ways you can make your application fit into both a website as well as a mobile device. Okay, so those code will go over here. Our code, our whatever code we would be writing, that will go inside this lib. All right, this lib will be the place where we'll be writing, where we'll be leaving our entire time. Okay, now then the next is test. Someone was asking about whether we'll be doing tests or not. So this test is the folder where we will be writing unit tests for all our code, whatever we write in lib, and all the code we'll write inside lib. Okay, the tests, those will be UI based, non UI based, both the kind of tests we can write. However, this workshop is not for that. Okay, we'll not be covering tests inside this. Okay, now the rest, all these different files are there. We don't need to be worried about all of them. The only one file we need to be worried is this pubspec.yaml. This is one file which we will be dealing with a lot. Okay, if this structure, okay, I recommend all of you create a new Flutter project in your Android Studio. Go to this and check all these files and folders, whether you feel comfortable with them or have any questions, let me know. Okay, so basically if you see over here, the same folders and files are over here. We spoke of Dart tools, idea, Android, iOS, and sorry guys, just a second. Sorry guys, sorry about that. Sorry about the break. Pulkit, yeah, as Sudhanshu said, WordPress is a content management tool and written in PHP paired with MySQL and MariaDB. So WordPress is it's itself is kind of a framework where we use, where we develop what is that, the front ends where like HTML and CSS, but only if you do not have a much of, if you don't want to talk to a server where you have, a lot of heavy computing, lot of databases, lot of other things, then WordPress is very nice. WordPress is majorly for kind of, static data. Okay, where you are doing a lot of dynamic processing. You are speaking to YouTube server to get your data and to get videos, and so if you have a Vimeo server where you have your private videos hosted, processed, you want to get, and so okay, you have a backend where you have the user information, you want to get, and so you want to check from how many system this the user is, logged in, and all those things. So when you have this backend integration, when you want to do some processing, that time WordPress falls short. Okay, and that time, that's where we have technologies like Angular and React and Vue, where we'll have this front end and back end, all these segregated. Okay, is that understanding? Is that fair explanation, Pulkit? All right. Okay. Okay, so now coming back to our application now. So these are the things. So we know about all this Android, iOS, lib, test, and web. We spoke. Now coming to the files. Okay, most of the files you can simply ignore. We don't need to worry about. The one file we need to worry about is a pubspec.yaml. Okay, so this YAML file is something specific to Flutter. Okay, this pubspec.yaml is a specific to Flutter. Pubspec means publication specification or publishing specification. So here, you like Android has the Android manifest, Flutter has this pubspec.yaml file. Here there are majorly two things. One is your current project settings. Okay, your name of the project, your description, then like the version, what is the Flutter SDK you depend on. Okay, so these are the things. Then there are like if you want to use any fonts to your application, if there are any images you want to include to your application, so those kind of things you will specify over here. The second category is, if you, so when you start developing applications in real time, you will know that not everything you will write from press. Okay, not everything you will write with your own hands. A lot of things are already built and available to you. You just need to know that this functionality is available in which package, right? If you know about Java as a IO package to, write to console, to read from console, to write to file, to read from file. Java has a what is that, network package which deals with, all the socket communication, all the network communication. Has a util package to deal with a bunch of collection related what is that functionality. You want to have a list, you want to have a hash array, you want to have a map. All those things you will get from that. So basically you have this packages concept, right? Same thing is also there in Flutter. Okay, so Flutter, you will have some functionality from a different package. If you, let's say, you want to have, then here is the place, this pubspec.yaml is the place where you will be defining all those packages. Now you will know, I mean, how do we know which package has which functionality? All right, so for that, Flutter has one official package repository. We call that pubspec. Sorry, not pubspec, pub.dev. Okay, so pubdev is Flutter's official package repository, where you can have packages for every single need. Unless you have something really new, I guess there will be a package already available. We just need to know, identify, and use. Right, you know about SQLite, you know about SQLite in Android, right? For Flutter to deal with SQLite, there is a package called SQFlite. Then Redux and Block, these are specific things we can leave for now. So like that. So there are small packages to, packages catering to use things. You know about Firebase? So Firebase has this to integrate to Firebase. We can use Firebase auth. So the you know about Font Awesome? Font Awesome. So there is a Font Awesome package, which so all these icons you see in your in your application. Android has its own icons, Flutter has its own icons, but those are sometimes not very what is that extensive. A lot of other real-time icons that we expect are not there in the system. That time you will use this small third-party package which has all these new icons in it. Okay, we'll use one of them and see. So my point is, if you want to use your third-party package, you come over here. You come to the pubdev, you search for the name, you'll get what is the name of the package that you should use and what is the version you should use. So the how we will use it, we'll do like this. You come over here, you say copy, then you say copy, then you come over here inside the dependency section, you paste. That's all it is. Once you are modifying the Flutter package, like in Android development, you know, when you modify that, you know, the Gradle files, the build.gradle or that any other Gradle related file, you'll have to do a sync, right? So like that, every time you modify this YAML file, you need to do a pub get. Basically what it means is this Font Awesome, this or this package, whatever it is, we just gave the name, but we haven't downloaded it to our package. We haven't put the actual dependency to the package. When we say pub get, it will actually download this package from the Flutter repository from internet to our what is that, our local system. Then once you're building the package, this package will be included into our app. Questions? All right. So if that is understandable, then that's all about the pubspec.yaml. This guy had two purposes, the settings and the third party dependencies. Once we have these two, that's all. We don't need anything else. Okay. Pubspec.lock is once this pubspec.yaml is compiled, it creates this pubspec.lock file. This is the generated file. We don't need to worry about. The rest will be automatically created. We never need to touch them. We don't need to worry about them. Okay, now let's go inside our main function. Okay, so a typical, when you create a first application, a main function, your main file will look like this. Okay, yeah, now coming to the other part, as initially I told, Flutter works with the language dart. So all the source code files extension will be dot. Like in Java it is .java, for Kotlin it is .kt. So here it will be dot, all the source code related files. All right, then what we can do is, so let it it has created something, we don't need to worry about it. Let's run it. So everything is there. Let's say run. See, look at the the status bar, the last line. It tells what is the action it is doing. Okay, running Gradle tasks. Flutter still uses Gradle only. If you know, Gradle is a build tool that Android Studio uses to build the applications. So Flutter still uses Gradle only to build our application. It will take a bit of a while to build it. Guys, any questions? You can interrupt me. Or if you feel like it becomes too basic, then also you can tell me. We can change it. No issues. Okay, come on. Yep, this is the problem with the live sessions. I cannot skip this part. Okay, so build is done. See, this is the console where it prints all the the steps it is performing. Build is done. Now it created this APK and now it is running. Oh, I'm really sorry. It took my system, my mobile. So I don't want it to take my mobile. So here it tells Redmi 8, right? My mobile is also connected to the system, so it is picking my mobile. I'll change it to our simulator. So this is the name of my simulator. I'll run it again. the second launch will be quicker because it doesn't have to download anything again. Okay, see the application is coming, the application it installed and it ran. See, it came. This is our first application. What it is, this just has a app bar and a full screen where it has a text, then there is a big number, then there is a button. See how there is a 3D kind of shape to this button. It is kind of floating. So this is a specific special button. We can create them. This is we'll go in detail to all these components. This is something called a floating action button, or fab. Okay, what this application does is the many times you press it, it increases the number. Getting? Anyone trying this simultaneously with me, guys? Anyone? Anyone trying? No. I recommend you try it with me so that if you have any issues or anything, you can we can fix them here only right away. No issues. Okay. All right. Okay. Now let's see the code, what it is and how it is, or maybe we can we'll delete all these things and create a small what is that application of our own, starting from a blank screen. Okay, but before that, the structure of a Flutter application, or for that matter, the structure of a Dart application is unlike Android development, where we start with the activity, the first activity. Here it starts like the traditional applications, like in Java or C or C++. It starts with a main function. Okay, that starts with the main function. This is the entry place where the application would start. This is the first place where the application will be executing. I'll delete i'll delete everything. I'll write this void main. Okay, that's all. This is where the application will start. Now I have deleted everything, so I have saved the automatically the UI refreshes. See, I have deleted the code, so it can detect it ki there has been a change on an implemented handling of missing static target. So basically it is telling ki the code has been changed. There is no what is that main function, there is no widget defined in it. Okay, so we'll go to the wizard and all. So but this change is detected. This, if you notice quite, I mean, if you focus on the change, as soon as we change something, this guy can detect it and can take the change. We didn't have to stop the application and run again. This is one of the major advantages of using Flutter. This is something called hot reload. Once the application is running, if you make any change, you don't have to kill the application and start it again. You just save it. It will automatically load the changes to the UI. So this is not only with the simulator, this will also work to your application. So basically you can lively you can see your changes. You make some change, save it, you see the UI change. You make some more change, see the UI change. Getting? So that makes the development very quick. Okay, then now coming back to our application. So for any Flutter application, Flutter app, if we want to have a app of our own, then we need to call. So we need to create one class and give it this is any class, normal class. I say ki my app, or I say my first app. So this is an application, and this is a class. Then this class will create an instance of this class. Let's say ki my first app. Sorry, the code, this is Dart syntax. Dart syntax is very much similar to Java. Okay, so my first instance, sorry, my first app, my first app equal to new my first app. All right, so this is how you create an instance of any class, right? So same, that's however in Java, same is in here in Dart. Then we call one predefined method called run up. We pass this guy the method of this. We pass this guy an instance of this. Now this is complaining us. What it is saying? It is saying kit run up isn't defined. Okay, let's define run up. So for this run up is available in a package called what is that? Material app. So how do you import one package? You import one package like this. So import within quotes. You write I guess Flutter package Flutter slash material app material dot dart. All right, so see now the run up error is gone. It is giving error in a different place, but the run up error is gone. The other way to include a package is either you write it, or the other way is you click over here, right click and say show context actions. Okay, then it tells you okay, this is available from which package. You just choose the package and say import. See, automatically it imported. Okay, now what is the second error? The second error, it tells the argument type my first up can't be assigned to the parameter type of widget. So basically what it tells is key run up, which is you click on a keyword, a function or a class and press control B. Okay, it goes to the definition of that. So if you see, it takes an argument of widget type. Okay, so our class is not a widget type, it's a different class, right? So that's why it is giving the compilation error. Now we'll pause here for a while and we'll see about the widgets. What is this widget thing? um, so we will be developing UIs majorly, right? Our pages will be user interfaces. If you are familiar with any UI framework, like if you are familiar with Angular or React, then there is something called a component. All right, so whatever a component is in Angular or React, the same widget is in Flutter. Getting whatever a component does or the reason component is created, Flutter we call it a widget. The same thing. If you don't know about components, if you know about any what is that in Java or any other normal programming language for the UI development, we have super classes. In general, the super class is control, right? A button control inherits from a control, a text control inherits from a control. Like that, in Flutter, a widget is a control. There are a lot of things here. Instead of a button control, we'll call it a button widget. Instead of a text control, it's a text widget. All right, so whatever is a control in a normal programming language, in Flutter, that's a widget. If you don't know about controls also, in normal HTML we have these divs, right? So for everything we create a div, we give it as a bunch of properties. The same we do with widgets. Whatever is a div in HTML, the same is widget in Flutter. A widget is basically an UI element, an element that will be rendered in the UI. Okay, you want to have a button, for that there is an existing widget. You want to have a page, for that there is an existing widget. You want to have a text show on the UI, there is a widget. You want to have a huge sentence where each word you want to give a different color, like how you write in MS Word, for that there is a widget. Getting? So the best thing about Flutter is every UI control is of the same type. Secondly, there is a huge list of controls already available for us to use. We need not reinvent anything. All right, so like that. Now said that, so now we know okay, widget is an UI element. So like that, all these widgets have been categorized into two parts. One, the UI will be static. You click a button, it goes to another page, but it doesn't change in the current page. Okay, you have a text, you have a input field, you have a bunch of buttons. Nothing changes. However it is there at the beginning, it remains same till the end. But so this is called a static UI. This is a stateless. It doesn't have a state of its own. It doesn't have any change color. It doesn't have any change font size. It doesn't change anything over a period of time. So it doesn't have a state. It is stateless. There is another category where you want to have in the same page, when you press a button, you want to change the background color, you want to change the text, like the example we saw. When you press the button, the number was changing, right? Now that has a state. That state changes over a period of time. So that is something called a stateful widget. Now coming back to our word. So okay, why okay. So if you see Flutter, in Flutter everything is a widget. In widget, widgets are of two types. One is a stateless widget, the other one is a stateful widget. All right, right. So when we are creating a page, or when we are creating one UI, we need to decide our UI will be static or it's going to change. If it is going to change, then we'll inherit our class from the stateful widget. If it is going to be purely static, then we'll inherit our class from stateless widget. Is that part understandable? What is a stateless widget and what is a stateful widget? Right? All right. Now, so the reason I brought up stateless widget, stateful widget, and widget for that matter is key. For our application to run, we need to call run app. Run app takes one instance of a widget type or any class that inherits from widget. Okay, so the class we have created that needs to inherit from the widget. So let's extend it from widget. Okay, so what it says, it tells ki missing content, blah blah blah. So the reason I brought up stateless widget is stateless widget means yep. We need to give a definition to the method. What this method does, this method returns a widget type. So we need to create an instance of a widget or a class that inherits from widget and return, right? Let's create one existing class called text. New text. All right. Then inside text, let's give a value. Hello world. Okay. Now let's return it. All right. See, now everything is compiling. Let's see what happens. But still it is not okay. I think it will not work, but it should give us a different error, not the same error. Okay, so it is still crashing. So this red screen, whenever the red screen comes, that means your application isn't working properly. It threw an exception. Okay, but now the exception is different than whatever we had previously. The error whatever we are getting, that's a different than this. What it is telling basically is, in technical jargon, says your application does not have a root level widget. Every application needs to have a root level widget inside which all your controls will be hosted. Text for sure is not a root level application, root level widget. Okay, so what we need to return from here is we need to create a separate widget called material app. Okay, and okay, to material app, it takes a bunch of arguments. All these are different constructor arguments. We will call, okay, let's create an instance of this material app. material app equal to new material app. Then this guy takes one argument called home. So home to home will pass name. Okay. Instead of returning name, we will now return material app. Right. See what happens. Isn't. Oh, I'm really sorry. So the first couple of things that I wanted to tell, that will not work with hot reload. That will have to be, done like this only. Okay. See now, see the hello world text, whatever we wrote over here is coming. If you can see on the top, it is showing, but the rest of the page is blank and doesn't have any content of its own. Okay. The other reason is the material app is a app level root page, is a app level. What is that? For one application, there will be only one material app, but this text cannot directly be hosted inside this material app. Instead, there should be a page level widget, for every page there should be a root node or root UI node inside which the text should be shown. If you know what I'm saying, basically, let's say that you have 5 pages, then you cannot have all the controls inside, material app, right? You have 5 different pages, right? So for each page, whatever controls you have, you need to categorize them and you need to host them inside one page control, right? So for that, what we need to do is we need to create a page first. So how do we create a page? We create in Flutter, we call the page as a scaffold. First page. Okay, equal to new scaffold. Okay, and you say name. Okay. So scaffold has one thing called a body, then to that you pass name. Okay, now to material app, instead of giving name, we give first page. See, you can see, right? It's becoming kind of a tree structure. Now we created a child node text. That node we made a child to this scaffold object. Now we are making the scaffold object as a child to material app. So material app is the root node. Now material app hosts this first page. First page hosts the name. Okay. Now let's see what happens. See, that black theme went, and that hello world is there. It is written on top. Okay, on top, these small letters. We'll change that as well. Now I choose. Let's give a what is that? Let's make it to the center. Okay, so here let's create another object. Center. How do you write center? Center. Center. Sorry. Center equal to new center. Okay, now this guy takes one argument called child. Now we'll pass this as this. Okay, now to scaffold, instead of giving name, we'll give center. Okay, see, this guy came to the center. Getting you basically, I'm trying to demonstrate you the pattern how Flutter works. In Flutter, everything is a child, sorry, everything is a wizard, and everything works as a child parent relationship. Getting? So we have the root node as material. Material has a child called scaffold. Scaffold has a child as center. Center has a child as text. When and to the run up, we return an instance of material. Now you think from Android's perspective, Android will start, rendering, will start drawing the UI from the root node. It will first draw the material up, then it will take who is the child of that. It will take it find first up, then it draws the first up. It will find who is the child of that. Then it takes so on and so forth. Getting? So this 4 line of code, whatever we have written, the entire application will be developing in similar fashions only. We'll be creating a bunch of objects. We'll make that object a child to another object. Then that object will be a child of another object. like that, so on and so forth. Okay, however, our page will not be very simple, right? It won't be having one or two controls. There will be so many pages, so many controls, so many styles would be giving. So creating every object, beforehand and then deciding will be very difficult. Okay, so there is another way of writing the same code. Let me show you that. So what we do is, what is the root node? The root node is material app, so we'll return that. Okay, so the root node, so at the end what we had returned, we had material app. So instead of creating an instance and then returning, we are just creating and returning in the same line. Okay, then inside it, what is that, we want to give a value to home, right? Instead of having it separately, we'll create it here only, right? So let's have it like this. So new scaffold. Okay, then inside scaffold, what scaffold has the parameter body. Okay, body, inside body we wrote center, and then center we keep child, and here we wrote hello flutter. See, it become hello flutter. Getting? So here is new, here is new. Getting? So if you notice, this code and this code are exactly the same. Just that here we were creating every instance, storing it in a local variable. The local variable we were giving as an argument, as an input argument to the next variable, next object creation. Here instead of that, we are just having all of them in the same place. Wherever we are needing, we are creating the object then and there. Okay, because we won't be referring to them later, so we don't need to store them in a local reference variable. Okay, when you see flutter code, any example, any documents or anywhere, most of the time you will see the code looking like this, in a tree structure. This has a child, this has a child, like this. Okay, the other thing is flutter allows to create objects without writing the new object, new keyword also. So this is equivalent to writing new. Whether or not you write the new, it will create the object. It doesn't, enforce you to write the new keyword. All right. Is this part understandable? Any questions, guys? No. Okay. So then this how our code will look like. Something inside, something. Then there will be a bunch of widgets. We just need to know which widget goes inside which widget. All right, okay. So if we understood this part, then there is one more part I want to demonstrate over here. So basically our pages, all the UI will be creating, there will have a bunch of widgets, bunch of controls shown on the UI. So there will be two things. One is a control, then there will be a layout. The way how we will show the controls, like we want to show the controls next after one after another, horizontal way or in a vertical way. We want to have them scroll or not scroll, or in a grid, a 3 by 3 grid. We want to give a size to them. All these laying out how those controls will be there. In Android native, if you know, Android uses another way called a layout or a layout manager. But Flutter doesn't have any layouts or anything. In Flutter, even the layout is a control, even the layout is a widget only. Okay, so that is also like this only. So if you see, scaffold is also kind of a layout only. It tells the page layout. Okay, everything that will be shown in the page will be inside the scaffold. All right, now the other thing is key, if you want to give a style or a property to anything, let's say this hello world was there. Okay, hello world text is there. We want to show it at the center of the UI. Then what we did, we made this as a child of another widget. Okay, so when we want to add properties to any control, there are two ways. Either there is already an existing widget to which we can make it as a child, or this guy would be taking an argument where we can give the properties. Like for text, we want to change the font size. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll let style, then text style. Inside that, we'll pass font size. Okay, font size, we say we write 24.0. See, it's bigger. Then we'll say font weight. So font weight is font weight dot bold. Okay, see, it's been bigger, right? Then there is something called, we'll give a color. Let's give the color, colors dot, let's say red, colors dot red. Okay, then what is that? What else properties we have? Let's check if we have decoration. Let's say text to decoration dot strike with the line through, line through. See, it has a line on it. In e-commerce sites, you have those few things, right? The price is this, but previously it was this. So there will be a big number. It will be strike through. On top of that, there will be a small number, right? So that is this line through. Getting? So all these things, whatever we want to add, all these styles and properties, whatever in HTML we do through CSS, here we'll be doing through these new arguments, different arguments. There will be a style to this, or we'll make it a child of something, right? Now we want to show it in the center, so you use center. If we want to use at the bottom or something, then we'll not use center. We'll use something called align, and we'll give the alignment, alignment dot, then we'll say bottom center. See, it went to bottom. We say top center, it goes to top center, right? It went over here, so we are not able to see. So instead of that, we'll say top right. See, it is there, right? Guys, you can understand, getting it, right? So this is how we create the what is that, a small UI using this. Now I'll show you one more thing also quickly. So let's say, so this the lines, when we write like this, it will very very quickly it will become like like this we won't be able to see it within one screen. So like that, there is something called, we need to format this page so that it fits in the visible screen. You just say right click, and here you say reformat code with that format. See how nicely it creates that child parent thing. Getting? So we'll make it to center back. Okay, is this part understandable, guys? Any questions till now? If not, then if this what is that, this introduction is okay, then in the next 10 minutes we'll take a big UI and we will create it directly here only. I'm not able to see. Okay, due to network issue I was disconnected. Okay, okay, fair enough. Guys, any questions, anything? Okay, if not, let's create a small UI, an actual UI, and we will show that. We'll see how to draw that. Okay, so let's get a reference UI which we will see, and then we will create that. So what is that? Mobile themes free. We'll create a small one. Okay, which one? Something I'm choosing, which I will do very quickly. Choose type. Okay, okay. So okay, it has this and then this, right? Okay, let's see if we can create it. There was this W3. Okay, something I'm looking which we can create quickly in 5-10 minutes. Okay, all right. Let's take this only. We'll take this only. We'll create, but not the entire one. Well, we'll try to create at least this much. Okay. So what it has? It has on top there is a bar. So we'll create that. Okay. Let's start with that. तुझा मतलब 10-15 मिनट लग गया okay, so let's there is this, so okay, okay, we'll delete from here, align, right? Okay, so let's create one more class called okay, so class home page that extends stateless visit. Okay, and then we'll pass this home page to as a child of this guy. Okay, right, then we say right click and show context, we say meeting. Okay, all right, so when it calls, and from here we return, for now let's return our text, hello, hello. So it is there, right? Yeah, you can see it is there on top, on top. So okay, I'll show you one more shortcut also. So what we did, we created a class, we tried extends, then we have manually implemented this. Instead there is one more shortcut. You write STLESS. Okay, you just write STL, it will pop up, you say enter, see, automatically it creates it. You just give the name. Okay, automatically it creates it, and it, instead of text, it created something called a container, but we'll get it back to text. Okay, so I'll just write something over here. Okay, now so we'll see something else also. In general, when you are developing for a actual product, not all the code you will write inside the same file, right? So think of a application like e-commerce. E-commerce is huge, right? Writing all the code, all the UI, all the processing, all the code inside one page will become impractical. Okay, so what we'll do is, okay, we'll create, in general we follow a rule like, for every page will keep in a separate class, and each class will create in a separate file. All right, every UI page inside one class, every class inside one file. Let's do that. Let's move this home page inside a what is that, a new class. That file that follows this naming convention, all small with underscores in between. Home page, yes, add, and instead of starting from this, we'll always start the home page with scaffold, because we know scaffold is the page, sorry, oh sorry, stls, okay, home page. Okay, and it is telling it doesn't recognize this, we say right click this and save this. Okay, then instead of this, we'll call it as a scaffold, and inside scaffold we say body, inside body we say text, and inside text we write something. Now we remove this, and inside we have removed the scaffold, so we'll give home page directly over here. Okay, correct. So now home page, this instance whatever we are creating over here comes from a different file. So this is the file where we have the home page class. We are creating an instance of this, so it has included, it has imported that home page file in our main.dart. Getting? So every time we have a separate class inside separate file, whenever we are using, we'll do like this, we'll import it to this. Getting how we are breaking one file into multiple files? All right, now we are here, right? So it is here, it is here. So the first thing is first. So he had a application, he has a, you know, a bar like this. So we'll also have a bar like this. So that bar is a app bar. Okay, we say app bar. then sorry, then there is this title. So title is like a child only, so App.Our is a class. We are calling the constructor of that App.Our. We are creating an instance. That instance constructor takes an argument as another wizard. In the title will pass a text, okay, because everything is a wizard over here, right? So here we'll write mind at the sample app. All right, see, it came. Okay, now it is okay. We'll remove this and we'll make it a container. A container is an empty widget. It's just a space. It doesn't show up anything over here unless we specify. Okay, so it is like this, but this it has this 3D kind of shape, right? That doesn't look very modern, so we will remove that. Okay, what will write? We'll write elevation. So elevation will make it to 0. See, there one shadow used to come, right? We have removed that. It's gone. Now let's give a background color to it. Background color is colors dot purple. Okay, purple. All right, awesome. So now let's come over here. So what is that? So we'll not create all these things over here. We'll just have it here and we'll rotate something over here. The next thing is an image. Then there are a bunch of text and all. So basically what we need one image widget, right? So, but we don't have an image. We'll go to internet. We'll download an image. House. So, drive house. House.jpg. Okay. Now we'll cut it and we'll take into our project. Where is our project? We say right click, show in Explorer. Okay. Now here we are inside this is the root of the project. Let's create a folder over here. Let's call it assets, and inside assets, we'll keep it. Okay. All right. Now we are here. So now remember initially I told any image or font we want to include, we need to come to PubSpec and we need to add. So how we'll add? We will uncomment this section and okay. So instead of images, this is assets, and here the name is this, right? Okay. We have modified over there PubSpec. So what we need to do? We need to do pubget. Okay, all right, so this has pubget. Now the image is available. So what we'll do is key every time we want to get an image from one from the local directory, from the assets folder, or from from our local assets, we'll call image dot asset. Okay, in asset we just need to provide the path of it. What is the path? The path is this path from the root, project root. That's all. That's all it is. Every time we modify the pub spec, we need to restart the application because the something new is added, so that the APK needs to be rebuilt with those dependencies and redeployed. Okay, see, we have the image right now over here. See, automatically, see, the best part about this is ki, now the image automatically gets to the size of it. It doesn't crop, it doesn't come to the small size, and whatever the width it takes, and it fits the it keeps the aspect ratio. Okay, all right, now what is there? So the next thing is so they are changing the image. We won't be doing that. We'll keep a static image only. The next is they have a big text, then they have a small text, then they have a bunch of buttons, bunch of icons. So basically we want to have multiple widgets in the same page. Now this, if you check, the widget is the child is a widget type. Okay, it doesn't take a list of widgets, right? But we want to have more than one widget as a child of it. So that's where we need a layout kind of a widget, one widget that can host multiple widgets. So what we'll do is, okay, we'll call it, we want to have vertically one after another widget, so we'll call something called a column. Okay, we have a column has one field called children, then this takes an array, this takes a list. Okay, see, that still works. Now bottom to that, let's give a text you say hello world. See, hello world appears over here, right? So we need to know when, so this thumb rule is anytime we want to, show more than one widget on the UI, we'll be using a layout kind of widget. So there are a bunch of layout kind of widgets. There is something called a column if you want to store in one column. If you want to store horizontally, then we'll be using over that. There is something called a row. Okay, see, the page become huge, it took the entire one, and it is saying it is not able to show it the other one, but it took the, it is showing the next to next. Okay, there is a size issue, so it is not showing, we'll fix that later. Okay, so majorly this row and column we'll be using much. Yes, someone is saying it's a time to break. Within the image, can we do something with text? Sure, we can. So what we'll be doing is, okay, when we want to show a text or a button on the UI, let's do that. So they are showing it, right? They are only showing it, so there is a button on top of the image, right? Let's do that. So in that case, what will happen is, okay, there is one more widget called something called a stack. Okay, let's change it to there is something called a stack. Okay, see, it becomes over there. Okay, then so let's give it a style so that we'll get it. The style is text style. Okay, text style, color is white, color start white. Then there is a font size is what, let's say, let's give it a 32. Okay, see, it became, then let's give it a font weight. Font weight dot bold. Okay, now we don't want it to show it over here, we want to make it to the center or something like that. So what we will do is, so the stack is for the entire page. Okay, it's not just for the this image or something. Yes, someone else. I'm really sorry, my chat window loads very slow. You can directly, speak out also. We have no issue. That will be better and easier. Somehow I'm not getting the chat window. Anyone is getting the chat window? Okay, I am not getting the chat window. Somehow I'm not able to. You can speak out the question if you have any. Okay, so if we want to show it on the, on the UI somewhere in the middle, then what we'll do is we'll make this as a child to another control. So till now, how we are adding a child, we create a child like this. Let's say center, then we put the value child, then we cut it and paste it over here. Rather than, there is a shortcut for that as well. You right click over here, say context actions. Okay, see, here it tells, it gives you, okay, with what you want to make it a child. Do you want to wrap it with a wizard? Do you want to make a child of center, child of column, like that, right? So we want to make it a child of something called a let's say a wizard. There is something called a positioned wizard. Okay, positioned widget, and let's format it, that format. Then positioned widget, the position what we want to give is, we want to give some padding, we want to show it on a particular position, particular place. Okay, what we'll do is, from top you leave like 150. Okay, and from what is that, left you leave like whatever is the width of the image, sorry, whatever the width of the device, half of that. Getting? We want to get the width of the entire device. Whatever is that width, we want to show at the middle of that. So how do we get the width of the device? We call, there is something called a media query of then size. Okay, dot width. Okay, then we say divided by 2. See? Okay, see, into the middle of that, but we don't want it to go to the seed. Now what is happening is it is showing, it is leaving that much from the middle, but after that is starting. We don't want that. So minus, let's say keep some 120, much better. Okay, yep. So now it is at the center of this, right? If the color is not very nice, we want what kind of a darkish color. Let's say key will give a, let's give purple only, purple accent. Or okay, what they have, they show it inside a white background. We'll also show it inside a white background. So what we'll do is container wizard exception. What is okay, yep, wizard explanation, yes. So let's wrap it inside a container. Let's, and then inside the container, let's give a padding. Padding is, how do we give a padding? So padding has a, you will get a hand of it. So padding generally we give like this, as insets dot all, we give 15. Okay, and then we say colors dot white. Okay, so oh sorry, it became, instead of 15 it became 150. All right, okay, let's make it to 10. Okay, much better. So maybe this bold is not required. Okay, anything else want to show? No, same, right? So now if you see, they have also shown it like this only, right? Okay, now what is there? So this has come now. Okay, we are almost close, just 2 minutes. I'll just we won't be able to design the entire page, but we'll just show these many two things and then maybe we'll close. Hi Bhuvana. Sorry, one second. Okay, so okay, so we have the image, then we have the text on top of it, then we wanted to have this as a, what is that, column. Okay, so this is a stack, this is a stack. Okay, so what we'll do is okay, we'll again have a text. Okay, so then there is one more text we want to have. So this text, they want, so there is a gap between these two, right? Let's give a gap. So how do you give a gap? You give a gap by like this. You call one method called one wizard sized box. There you give a height of, let's say 20. See, now it is, there is a gap. Let's make it to 30. Okay, so then here instead of hello world, they, what is that, welcome. All right, and the color is greenish blue or something. Okay, so like this, and the color is green. Okay, okay, green. Then below to that they want to write something. Okay, here instead of thing we'll say welcome. MindAdda is a startup based on Bangalore and in working on mobile on modern mobile apps. Okay, and we size, the size will of course change it to 18, let's say. Okay, all right, now we don't want it to be like this, we want it to show as a center. right? Does it show as a center? It doesn't. So what we'll do, we'll give one more property. What is that? Text align. We give text align dot center. Okay, so it becomes center, right? Let's give one more this thing as well, and let's give it to 10. All right, let's make it to 48. All right, let's change the color to maybe looks better. So let's say key with this it becomes like this. Now we want to give a what is that? We want key this much for the text also. There should be a gap. It should not touch to the sides. So what we'll do is key all these things will keep inside padding the entire one. So there is a widget for padding. Okay, all, and we want to give like 15. Okay, no, this is not the right place to add because we don't want to give the padding to the image, so we will, okay, what we'll do is okay, this will add to a okay, so here we'll give it as a 20 and here we'll give it as 20, right? Okay, then in that case we don't need this. Okay, and probably we don't need this. Okay, that's better. Okay, so let's change the color maybe. Let's keep it to black. That way it will look better. Yep. Okay, so that was a small demonstration of what we wanted to do. Now, so this is what their application is, and this is what our application. It's not the exactly same, but with time, so this much, if you see, we could do till this much. All these things, they have the buttons and all they have put, that also we can put using, however, we have put it on this, using a stack. Okay, now they have put it as a, all these things, okay, sorry. Okay, it doesn't, yeah, it scrolls, right? So the scroll they have put, we can also put a scroll once we have more content to show on it. All right, so this was a very small demonstration of how to write, how to develop apps, what are the widgets, how do we, write a text, how do we show an image, all those, the basic, the small things. Okay, now, yeah, here it is. Can we give some hyperlink to text within the image? Can we give some hyperlink to the text? Of course. So basically in web we use that ahref, right? We'll not use anchors over here. Instead what will happen is for us all the hrefs will be buttons. We'll make it as a button. Once you press it, we will, as a button callback, will give the url key where to go. Okay, now when you are developing in web, you are already inside the browser, so opening a hyperlink is easy because the browser knows how to open it. But here we are inside a mobile application. Okay, the app doesn't know how to handle a url, hyperlink. So we'll have to keep that, we'll have to handle that specially. So there is a specific widget, something called a web app, sorry, a web view. Okay, now the web view understands urls. If you give a url to a web view, the web view can show that url page inside your app. Getting? So a lot of things we'll have to handle manually over here, not unlike your browsers. Okay, okay guys, I
Shishir,
think I have yeah.
yeah, so I think this is the time to wind up. We may have.
Exactly, sir. I was coming at that. I have consumed already 15 minutes extra. Really sorry about that. So, but I hope you got something. I mean, to where to start. Okay. If you have any questions, kindly do let me know. We can discuss right away. Okay. And meanwhile, you can answer the questionnaire. Okay.
CC questions we will take later. They can post it. So tomorrow morning we will have a 30 minutes earlier so that we can answer the questions. Right now, I think we have to stop here right now because they all will go for a lunch. And
Okay. Okay.
thanks guys to join. There will be a quiz link is there. Please take it out. You have to complete it before 3:30. I am just giving it out, and it will be closed before that. So Shishir, we must. I know all people are in a hungry, and we must have to stop now. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sure. So we meet again today at like 3 or 3:30 or tomorrow.
No, tomorrow we will meet. The questions, the quiz I have already sent. They have to complete it before 3:30.
Okay. 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 Fair enough, guys. Then thanks all for coming and joining.